All right, I just want to go over some quick reloading tips. Actually, powder, it's getting tough to get now, but you can still find it, and you can. It's not a premium on the price if you're looking in the right place. Now, also on powders, I want to say this: you want to keep it simple, and I always keep reserves on hand. The best rifle powder I like, Hodgdon 335. Actually, it's been very good for the the AR-15 rounds. These things, I got a bunch of them loaded up here loose. I have them in stripper clips, cans, and all this other stuff. These are all ready to go. Here's I have bunches of 30-round magazines and stuff. And you can get, I don't know, a little over 250 rounds loaded up out of 1 pound of this. Now, this also comes in 8-pound containers. Now, when you're ordering this stuff online, primers and powder have a hazard fee when you ship them. It's like $25 or something. But if you get loaded ammunition like this, there's no hazard fee. It's just shipping fee. So there's a shipping fee and a hazard fee when you buy primers or when you buy powder, when they ship it to your house or whatever. Now, the reason is like if this hit I don't even keep this inside to tell you the truth, but if a match hit this, that would catch on fire. If a match hit this, everything's inside the bullet, nothing happens, right? But it's relatively safe. I mean, it's almost like if you keep gasoline for your car someplace. This isn't like smokeless. This isn't like black powder. Like the stuff you see on movies or something, if people aren't familiar with this. Like black powder will blow up. This actually will just make a big flame real fast unless it's in a container that's, like a plastic container won't really blow up. But if it was like in a metal container and it had enough air in there, somehow it could explode. It's possible. But normally it just burns real hot, and that's what would happen. It's not like black powder, so I want to actually, say that. But you can get about over 250 AR-15 rounds out of 1 pound of this. So, if you got 4 pounds, you got 1,000 rounds, no problem. Like if you have an 8-pound container, actually it's more than 250. You could probably get about 2,300 rounds loaded with an 8-pound thing of this. Now this stuff, I don't like too much actually. I'm not too kill on this blue dot stuff, but it's very popular with a lot of people. It's just my personal opinion. But actually, to keep it simple, you want to use for the rifle. You can use this for a lot of different rifles. Hodgdon 335, it meters very well. And I'm going to go into other things on other videos on this stuff later. Now, Winchester 231 for pistols, non-magnum pistols, excellent powder. You can get probably, I think on the what do you call it, the 45 caliber on this thing for the 231 Winchester. If you're loading up, it's like 4.19 grains approximately, depends on what load you're using. That's what I use anyway. It's 230 grain bullet, and hopefully I'm not going too fast, but you can get probably about 1,400 rounds loaded up at 1 pound of this pistol, 45 pistol approximately. So if you got 3 pounds, you got 2,800 4,200 rounds you can do, right? Now, the two powders I like using for the Magnum pistol is Winchester 296 or Hodgdon 110. Like the big W is Winchester, and then Hodgdon, you can see that says Hodgdon on it. H110, actually it says H110. It's pretty much the same, it's for the same type of stuff as the Winchester 296. And so basically you can do a lot of different calibers with 3 different types of powders. You can use the Winchester 296 for the pistols, like the Magnums, like the 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, or Hodgdon 110. I'll recommend that, either of those two. And then Winchester 231 for like a 9mm 45, 40 caliber. And Hodgdon 335, you can use it for the 30-06, the 308, the AK-47 round, the Grendel round, the 6.5. You can use it for the 30-30 Winchester. You can use it for the, and of course the 5.56 AR-15 round. Now, one rifle, the carbine, the 30 caliber carbine, the M1 carbine from World War II, not the 30-06. It looks like a little, it's almost like a pistol with a long barrel, basically, you would use this stuff, 290 Winchester 296. Now, I'm going to say something else just to save some money. You know, like if you want to buy targets, paper plates, dude. Paper plates. Paper plates is a classic. You can spray paint a little dot in each one of these if you want, or you just put the paper plate up there. If it's against like a darker background, you know, if it's like a brown background, you'll see this no problem. Or you can paint a little dot in it. This actually is a pretty good target for if you put these out at 50 yards and you shoot them with pistols and you're hitting that target from 50 yards or 35 yards. Yeah, you're doing pretty good anyway, you know. And another thing is, actually, I usually load I picked these up before. These are wad cutters. They're good for like going through paper. They make a nice clean cut. That's why they have like they're you know, they have their flat tip. These are 200 grain. They're for the 45. This thing 45. Now that's the cheap way to load ammo. These aren't even copper jacketed. These are just plain old freaking lead. You know, and it has the gas ring on it. Now you can actually these are cheap. So in other words, you know, you get your primers. I forgot what the primers cost. The primers are cheap though. And you know, you get a pound of this stuff and you can do about 1,400 rounds with this. These come in like boxes of 500,000, whatever it is. Usually you get 500 in them. And you can load these things up dirt cheap because these aren't, you know, that's what I was saying even about, you know, the government, you know, whatever's training in the government. You can use hollow points and mainly this type of stuff to train with. In other words, you know, check your hollow points, make sure they feed through the weapon. But basically, when you're firing on a range, these pretty much have the same type of kick and feel as the hollow points, except they're dirt cheap. They're way cheaper. You know, if you're buying rounds like this, you know, super expanding ammunition, man, that's expensive as crap to shoot. You don't want to be shooting this stuff all day in a range on for like target shooting. You want to do stuff like this. So, you know, if you're reloading, you want to get just plain old, and you can actually use plain old lead for even like the 308 rifle. I mean, it doesn't even have to be copper jacketed. Now, if you really want to save bucks on this stuff, you can go and get lead wheel weights from cars. I never went to this excess, but I know some friends of mine did a while back. They melted down the lead and they cast their own bullets. And like normally you would have like a triple gas ring on a 45 and you would press it in there and you wouldn't have this blue stuff on here so it seals up. But hey, it works good. Actually typically I'll shoot this 45 with a 230 grain plain lead ball ammunition. The sights are dead on. I mean, you know, I could put it pretty much in the center of that plate, and not the exact center, but near the center of that plate at 50 yards. No problem with this thing at 230 grains. So, I don't know. You know, do what you want, but I mean, what I'm trying to pass on is ways to save some bucks. But I'll give you more specifics on how to do this stuff. And, you know, I'm just going to, actually, as I do this, now, you can actually leave these loose like this. It's not a big deal. Actually, most of the time I have them in stripper clips and ammo cans. But a lot of times I go shooting, I'll just take these things like this because, you know, I'll just take a couple magazines, load them up, 25 in a magazine, just, you know, shoot them and then, you know, keep the brass and to the next time. And then if you get like these things, you get at least, well, probably about 260 rounds or so at each pound of powder. So it's pretty cheap. It's not that expensive. The only thing is when you're buying powder online, you got that hazard fee. So they got a shipping charge and you got a $25 hazard fee. So you don't want to buy just like 1 pound of this stuff for like 18, 19 bucks. You want to probably buy maybe an 8-pound container or maybe 4 of these things or something like that, and then primers, and then you only have 1 hazard fee. Because if you're doing like just a few primers and you got a $25 hazard fee, it's ridiculous. But loaded ammunition, there's no hazard fee. So I'm trying to say is like this is ways to save money. If you reload, you know, something like this, you get like, I think it's like 1,400 rounds you could do for the 45. Depends on your application. But, you know, you'd have to look up the loading data. And, you know, keep it simple. Don't, like, change things. To my opinion, I don't like changing stuff around. I usually just do one thing one way for like, and I don't experiment with 50 million different types of loads. I'll just do it one simple way. So it's like cookie cutters and it's safer. But now typically for Target, I just buy this stuff. You know, just plain old lead. They're not even copper jacketed. They're not hollow points or nothing. And you know, if you want your gun as a self-defense weapon, you can have your, you know, nickel-plated brass with your hollow points and all this other garbage. And then for targets, I don't buy targets. Paper plates, man. Paper plates. So there's a lot of cool tricks you could do with this stuff to save yourself some bucks. And this is one. And actually, when I put up these videos, I'm going to say like reloading tips, colon, and then whatever the hell it is. And then title something after it. So if you're like looking on what I say about this stuff, because I'm very pragmatic. I'm cheap, but I'm like, I buy good stuff, but I actually like don't blow money on stuff. So, you know, like, so when you buy a pound of this powder, it's like 18 bucks. And you got enough for 1,400 rounds. So if you use 100 center fire rounds, and then you use 250 22 rimfire ammunition, you pretty much went for a day at the range. It's not expensive. It's not expensive at all. And if you're shooting this type of stuff and you're shooting these type of projectiles, it's not expensive. But if you go buy yourself some, you know, premium hollow points all the time, you know, you don't want. You do want to check your weapon though, because if you're firing on a range, say lead ball or these semi-wad cutters, whatever the hell they are, the flat tips, it'll feed through the weapon, say, fine, right? Now, sometimes a weapon will not feed hollow points as well as ball ammunition. That's really one of the reasons, like, that's another reason the military uses ball, but besides the Geneva Convention. Sometimes a weapon will feed plain old round ball ammunition fine, and then it does not feed the hollow points too perfect. So you want to check your hollow points anyway when you go to the range, but mainly for cost efficiency, you just want to use stuff like this and do some simple reloading. So that's some advice that hopefully will save you a couple bucks. And watch the hazard fees. You know, if you're going to buy powder, you know, try to buy a bunch of it at one time, and then this way, and so with your primers, and the hazard fee is like a one-time fee per shipment. You know, there's not a hazard fee per each pound. It's per a whole shipment. So if you got like 3 pounds of this, 4 pounds of it, or a big 8-pound container, and you got a bunch of primers, there's only one hazard fee. So it's not too much, because that's like 25 bucks. But if you're buying like, you know, a few $100s worth of stuff, it's not bad. But if you're buying 1 pound of this for $18 or $19, you don't want to double the price right away with a hazard fee. That's stupid, right? So that's another little tip. So, but if you're buying loaded ammunition online, no problem at all. But like I said, I'm gonna put up a lot of different videos on this, because this subject actually is pretty widespread, and I'll just call them reloading tips, colon. So if you research on my channel and say reloading tips, you should pull them all up, whatever the hell I'm saying. So, but I'm very pragmatic, and the whole idea behind this is to make it cheap and enjoyable. It's like golf, man. Really, it's really like golf, man. You gotta, you know, sight picture, sight alignment, and make sure you're using the right putter for the job and all that type of stuff.